Hello everyone. Normally I do these videos in silence or with music playing. Try something a little bit different with this one. I'm going to kind of walk you through the process and what I'm doing and why. And I apologize ahead of time if you hear my toddler. He is currently fighting sleep with his mother, whose turn it is to put him down tonight. You may remember this K1000 from the video I did recently about the thrift finds, this being one of them. You may also remember that the aperture blades were stuck on this lens. Didn't do anything special here. I just kept moving them back and forth until they started moving. And as you see, we now have a working lens without any need for oil. So we got lucky on that one, and this will also be getting a good clean today. The mirror bumper is non-existent in here. Looks like someone already had an attempt to try to clean it off. And you can see this is pretty well worn on the corners. We even got the typical head butt dent here on the front. Otherwise, this is in perfectly working order. We're just going to give it a once over here with some 90% isopropyl alcohol just to get the worst grime off it. And we might replace the rear light seals here with some cotton thread while we're at it. So let's get started. The reason you use 90% isopropyl alcohol as opposed to any other percentage is it's electronics safe. The low water content means it's good for circuit boards, things like that. It's just good practice if you're doing anything that you don't want to get touched with water. You can see how dirty this is. If I ever take this apart, we'll be cleaning underneath that, but not anytime soon. This is one of those rare occasions where I don't have to take this apart. The speeds are working, etc. And their times are correct, so I don't see the need to take it apart and introduce any extra dust or risk breaking something as I fumble around inside there. I am far from an expert at the internals of these cameras. I've managed to repair a few. And a lot of that is just perseverance. This rear glass, the viewfinder, isn't so sensitive that I need to use a glass cleaning paper for, so I can get away with using one of these. But I would not use one of these on a lens. Gross. See how much the lacquer is coming off of these, I assume, brass pieces. I could repaint these if I was so inclined, but I kind of like the wear. So in most cases, if things are functioning, I don't alter them beyond their current state. don't tend to put batteries in these old cameras either. I did with the Mamiya Secor just because it has a really overly complex and interesting light meter system. Its internals are crazy and frankly overly complicated. So I was curious if they would still work. They did not, no matter what I did. But this camera will not be getting a battery anytime soon, and it will not be getting gutted to try to restore any kind of light meter or any other functions like that. I don't see the purpose to it with these old cameras. Anyway, they're not too reliable, and if you're using a light meter or need to, you can use an external one. So inside here, you want to be very careful. You don't really want to put pressure on any of this. I'm just dragging this across. I'm not pushing down or anything like that. This is just a precursory clean. I'll go back in here with a lens cloth. It's just me getting whatever dust will essentially cling to this. You might not be able to see this, but there's little black splecks of the former light seal on there. When I think film SLR, I think the K1000. It has all of the features like this pull-up popping open instead of an extra button, cloth shutter, what I'm looking for here is right along here there should be a light seal, and the black gunk and glue that would be associated with the light seal I want to get rid of, like this, because I'm going to put an additional light seal in here. But to be frank, it's almost all gone already. There's not much left to worry about. You should be able to see that. That's what you want to get rid of. Alright, we are going to put some cotton thread light seals in here, since we're here. So this bottom one is just stuff it in there. You don't do much. There's no need to concern yourself about anything on this bottom one. I prefer to use cotton thread where I can. One, because it's cheap, and two, because it lasts essentially forever. And any excess glue or anything from the old seals in here don't really impact it like they would with the light bumper or anything like that. Now this top one is a bit more complicated. You see this here? This knob goes in and hits a button. This is what resets your timer of how many shots you have. And you want to make sure that you don't somehow foul that button mechanism up when you do the top. You might have to close it a few times to get the light seals to work too. And we're still catching here whenever we open it. I use 3-ply cotton because you can always remove one strand if it's too thick. I think we're going to be okay in this situation. Alright, so now we want to make sure for this top that we don't interfere with that button mechanism, which is right here. Wooden peg somewhere here. This is where we're going to see and make sure that what we just put in isn't interfering. Say we're past 0 here. And you see we've successfully reset. So now we're going to put in the other part of the light seal past where we just were. So we're missing a light seal here still, and the so-called mirror bumper in the front, which is actually just a light seal. Over time this cotton will compact and you won't have to close this with such force, but here we go, we're going to try this again. Alright, again we're past 0, which is the red here. Anything that pulls out and is extra, snip away. And no interference, still resetting. What I'm checking now is how clean the mirror is, and it's surprisingly almost spotless. We got 2 little specks in there. So we're going to grab our lens cloth, which is just a type of tissue paper. And again for this, you are not pressing down, you're just barely touching and wiping. It's more setting your fingertip against it. Let's see how we did. 1 little speck still in the back. Alright, spotless. So the mirror bumper and that other little part will get a replacement once more felt I've ordered comes in. So I'm opening this to its widest aperture and focusing it so that I can see if I see any scratches kind of off the start here. And other than being filthy, I don't see anything. Give you an idea of how filthy the lens was. See the black on my finger? So we either have internal fungus or something sticky on the lens. That is years of dust and I think smoke. And it is, I believe the smoke that I'm seeing is sticky on the lens. It still shocks me that people smoke. Like, You can't do this to your lungs. Wipe them down with a cloth and some isopropyl alcohol. And look at that. I mean, it's still just coming off in layers. This might be the dirtiest lens I've ever encountered, actually. This is coming off the glass, by the way. It's not coming off of what's around it, but that is also going to be like absolutely filthy. It's better, but it is still got some of that sticky smoke on it. Let it sit on the glass for a moment while I get everything off the outside. Better. All right. What's curious is beautiful. That is probably the best camera I have ever thrifted, and I didn't. My parents thrifted it for me, and they spent a lot less than what you'll see these listed on eBay for. I can tell you that. So in an upcoming video, I get the bumper replaced, which is just another light seal, and we'll get the other light seal in here replaced, and we'll probably run some film through it. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great one.